Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be doing card number 2 in my Varied Vases online card class. Now the Varied Vases class kit is available through August 19th, 2018. If you are watching this before then, check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com and find out the details on how you can participate. If you're watching it after that date, then check out that website anyway to find out what current classes I'm offering. So this class kit has 4 cards. In the kit you get the bundle and the materials that you need to make these 4 cards. And today we'll be making this card right here, "You Are Simply the Best," and then I've left it open to say thanks or happy birthday or congratulations. So we'll be doing this card today. So we won't be using our punch because I've pre-cut the vases for you. But of course, if you buy the stamps, you always want to get the bundle and have the punch for yourself later. The card kit that we're using is the one that has the wavy mix of mint macaron and tranquil tide. So this shouldn't be too difficult of a class. Let's put some of these away. There's my instructions. Now you'll get, everything will be pre-cut for you. I like to go ahead and get my card base creased and cut. Make sure the edges match well. Sometimes they overhang just a little bit, and you can fix that just by holding it, pinching it, and pushing it towards the back like that. Okay, so crease that up like this. It's ready to go. Set that aside. Now let's start building our card. We have Tranquil Tide. It's 5 1/4 by 4. And then we have the DSP 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And by the way, this is Tranquil Textures DSP that I'm using with this card kit. And then we're going to have, now you'll get, these 2 pieces look very similar. One is the inside and one is the front. The inside is bigger, so we'll set that aside. That's the inside sentiment. And the same with the Whisper White. The inside sentiment is bigger, so we'll set those aside so we don't get them confused. Now you only need 1 of these for the front focal point, but I give you 2 in case you have a little problem. And then, so this is going to go on top of that like that, and inside is 3 little pearls, your vases, and a strip of plastic, which helps you to, we'll use later on as we're positioning our stamps. Now there's 2 small vases. The one with the wavy that matches this pattern here, it goes in the center. The one that's solid, it's going to go on the inside sentiment. Then you have your 3 little pearls. It's going to go 1 2 3 right there. A very thin piece of, let's see how long is that? It's about 10 inches, 9 or 10 inches. It's 1 strand of our Nature's Twine. I untwisted it, and it's like 1 little, well actually there's like 2 little strands of that. So that's how I got a nice thin little piece of crumb cake twine to go there on this little vase right here. Okay, so I'm going to put some of this away because I don't want to lose them. The twine and my pearls I'll set aside here for now. Now the stamps that we're going to be using, so we're going to go ahead and stamp, and I think these are the things that we're stamping, so we'll set the other things aside. The stamps that we're using, set my extra aside too. We're going to use the orchid and the fill-in stamp. The two little, I'm not even sure what those are, but we'll use that and the fill-in stamp, and then these long little flowers here with the fill-in stamp. The smaller leaf fill-in and the more of a crescent-shaped leaf fill-in. And I think that's it. Those are the ones that we're going to be using. Now I'm going to use my Stamparatus, and you can use whatever stamp positioner you have. If you don't have a stamp positioner, you can use your blocks. I prefer a stamp positioner with a hinge because you get a chance to stamp twice. Now in my Stamparatus, I put the gray rubber mat from the Sizzix mats. Let me find the name of that. It's on page 221, the Big Shot embossing mats. I'm using the gray one. I just like to have a little bit of lift, and then the rubber keeps it from sliding as well once I get it in place. Plus, if you don't have the rubber mat, you can use this thin die adapter to get a little bit of lift, but it tends to slide, so you might want to put something rubbery under it, or somehow keep it from sliding, or just be careful with it. So I have all my stamps here. Now the inks that we'll be using are Poppy Parade, Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral. Those are the ones we'll be using for our flowers. The little, I guess, ledge is going to be Crumb Cake, and then the base and leaves of the stamp of the flowers are going to be Tranquil Tide. So we'll need a pencil, and so we'll go ahead and put our paper down here. Now we don't know where to stamp our flowers yet, so we're going to use the vases as a kind of, well, I guess we should first stamp our little ledge. Don't get ahead of myself. And I didn't get my ledge stamp. So there's a solid ledge and one with an outline, and we're going to use the solid one. And we'll find that little piece of plastic that was in the envelope. It's a 1/2 inch by 4. It's actually a piece of the window sheeting that we sell. I just cut it with my cutter, that cutter we cut paper with. And what it's good is to keep this tends to have a bow in it, so if you put it on the plastic, you can get a nice straight edge. Now I probably should have measured before I put this down. Not too late though, let me measure. And I'm trying to remember where I placed this, so let me check it here. All right, it looks like it's 7/8 of an inch from the bottom. The top of this is 7/8 of an inch from the bottom. So let's get our paper and gently mark 7/8 of an inch from the bottom on both sides. So I have 7/8 of an inch and 7/8 of an inch. And I'll go ahead and put that back down. That's going to show me where I need to lay down my piece of my stamp. And I want to center it so that the edges are even, like the scallops are even as much as possible. And I want to put them even with the mark I made with my pencil. Okay, when I have it in place and I'm happy with it, I actually took it off and remeasured because it was looking kind of strange. I'm going to pick that up, but before I ink it up, I want to remove that plastic. And I'm going to ink that up with crumb cakes, so I'll put Poppy Parade down here below when I ink it up. So we're going to, and also before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and remove these, making sure I don't have any shavings or anything there. So ink that up with some crumb cake. And the good thing about, oh, you know what I need to do? Because this is going to go over the edge, I need to add a little bit of a piece of something to catch the, don't want to get those too close together for sure. I'm just going to slip this underneath without moving it around so that I have something on the edge when I do this. So I don't want to get ink on my foam. Now this is the good part about the Stamparatus, is that you can do it twice or even 3 times if you want it to be nice and rich. Now that's kind of dark now, but it's going to lighten up as it dries. Okay, so now we have our little ledge, and I'm going to switch out the crumb cake for the Poppy Parade because I'm done with the crumb cake. And I won't need this, so I'll move that. Now we can do our little vases. And the thing you want to do is just remember to have these on the end. You want to make sure that they are about equal distances from the sides so that it looks even. And then put this one in the middle. Now you're going to take a pencil once you get those in place, and you're just going to mark kind of like that, like a, like this. A little mark across and a little mark in the center up. A little mark across and a little mark in the center up. So your marks look like this. So that's going to tell me where I need to stamp. So the first thing I want to stamp is the orchid, and I'll find my plastic wherever I did with it. That's another thing about the plastic. You have to be careful not to lose it. Alright, so I have my plastic. That's going to help me to move my thing around. I may need to move that so I can bring this up. And I'll look at this. It looks like it's 1/4 of an inch from the top. So the top of the top of the highest image on the orchids is about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the white paper. And then I'll center it over that mark that's pointing up. And then when I'm happy with it, let me remove this. I'm just going to pick it up, remove the plastic, ink it up with some Tranquil Tide, I've got some on the edge. And that looks good enough, but I'm just gonna do it one more time just for a good measure because I like my images to be nice and rich and deep. Okay, so that looks good. So I can clean that off. Next image will be the center image, and it's going to be the 2 flowers. We'll lay that down. Where's my plastic? Here it is. We'll lay that down just below. The stem will be over the piece that's the pencil mark that's sticking straight up, and it's not quite, it doesn't touch the orchid, but it's somewhat close. Okay, so now we're going to pick that up, remove the plastic, ink it up with Tranquil Tide, Now I don't have to worry about my stems because it's going to be covered by the little pot. So, and then the other one we're going to do is the one with the long stem flowers like this. And we're just going to move that around till it's kind of over that mark. And we don't want it above the orchid, but we want it close to where the orchid is. And then when we're happy with that, we'll pick it up with our and move the plastic. And very important to remember. Okay, now we're ready to do the leaves. The orchid is going to have the long kind of curvature type of leaf. I didn't use my plastic for that. I hope you saw that. I don't think I really need it for these. And then I'm just going to do the other. Now near the mark where we have the little cross mark, I'm going to go ahead, and I should have done this before, I'm going to erase these marks once we get to where so just above that mark I'm going to put that leaf, or where the mark was before I erased it. And then we're just going to put it on the other side, kind of up a little bit. And then we're going to do kind of the same thing over here. We're going to erase that mark. You can still see enough of it to know where it was. I'm actually going to put a little bit of it below the mark. And then the other side too, also below the mark. Okay, so we're ready to do the inside sentiment. And the inside sentiment is basically this and the leaf and the so we'll repeat that process. Okay, so we'll pretty much do the same thing with the with this here that we did on the front. We'll use our little vase as a guide, and we'll make that mark, and then that will tell us where we need to put our flower. And we're going to use the little 2 flower again, this one right here, and we're going to put it over that mark. Now I'm making it so that the stem is a little bit longer because I want it to kind of have a nice length there to make it look, kind of fill in that space. So once I have it where I want it, I'll pick it up and ink it up with my Tranquil Tide. I probably should erase this little mark here before I do that. That sounds like a good idea. And stamp. I'll do it again, just have a nice rich color. Okay, so since I'm not stamping something on the inside, if you wanted to put thanks there or congratulations or something else, you could put that there now. So now we are ready to go back to the front and do some coloring. We still need to stamp our greeting, "You are simply the best." So I'll get my plastic here and get my greeting. I'm going to put my greeting on the plastic. That helps it to stay straight and not curved, and it also helps me to place it. where I want it. I want it right about there. So when I'm happy with where it is, I'll pick it up with my flap and take the plastic off. Now the sentiment is also in Tranquil Tide. Now this is the part that I think is the most fun, and that's when we start coloring the flowers. So I'm going to do the orchid first, and I'll find my little plastic piece here. Just kind of lay it over that and move this. I may have to move this too. Maybe pull it up a little bit higher on my plastic. And then I'm just going to move this around until I get it exactly where I like it. And then when I have it where I want it, I'll just pick it up, remove the plastic. So I'll ink that up with the Poppy Parade. Now we'll do the two center ones with Calypso Coral. Get my little plastic out. And then when you're happy with it, pick it up. Remove the plastic. Sometimes it's hard to see that plastic. Change inks to Calypso Coral. So I'll need this for the inside, so I'll put that back there. Now we're going to do these little flowers. Get my plastic again. And then just kind of line these up where they're going to be, where they need to be. And then when you're happy with where you have them, we'll go ahead and ink this now. Nope, not Calypso Coral. Those are Flirty Flamingo. Gotta be sure to switch inks because we want Flirty Flamingo. Okay, so now we're ready to finish the inside. The front is done once we add the vases, that is. Now we're going to go ahead and do the inside. We'll use the two flowers, the filling stamp, the stamp that fills up the two flowers. And then we're just going to pick those up. This time remove the plastic. Get out our Calypso Coral again. And ink it up. You can see how easy it is when you use a hinged stamp positioner to do your heavy work for you. So nice. Okay, so we're done with that. Okay, so we have all of our stamping done. Now we're ready to put our little vases on. And we're just going to do that with some snail. Or you can use glue, whichever you want to use. I'm just going to put a small strip of snail down there. And I'm going to start at the bottom here. I'm going to kind of follow this line down straight to the ledge and then just let it drop. And this one we don't have a ledge, so we just kind of have to guess at it and level it out before we push it down. There we go. Now we're ready to build our card. So let's bring everything else in. And so we have that. This goes on this. This is our spare. So this goes on this one. And we're going to put it on kind of off center. You can center it and have it straight if you want, or you can just do it a little bit off like I did here. I do that sometimes to just give it a little more dimension so it's not so boxy looking. So let's go ahead and put this on our Tranquil Tide. And I just realized that we should have put the little, and I'm hoping you get a chance to do this. I'm going to have to pry that up a little bit because I'm going to have to slide this in the middle. I'm going to slide it behind this. I hope you didn't use glue. If you did, I apologize. So it's about halfway in there. You can kind of slide it until you get it even. There. If you did use glue, maybe you could poke a little hole, like on just a tiny little hole, and fit it in there. So once you get the ends even as much as you can, you're going to just do this just like you would if you were tying a shoe, and then you're going to do a loop and around the loop and then through the loop that you just made, and just tie it tight, and then just get it to where it's the size that you want. You want a small bow, and when you get it to the size that you want, you're just going to snip off the ends like that. Okay, so that's ready to go on this panel, and like I said, it's not going to be, you can do it straight or you could do it a little wonky if you want. I'm going to do mine a little wonky. So basically I start out like, oops, don't let it stick together. I act like I'm going to put it on straight, but then I just turn this to the right just a little bit so that the corners are not quite straight. So when I put it on the card, it's going to be level. The white's going to be level, but the green will not. So we're ready to put that on the front of here, but we're going to do that with mini glue dots. Now, if you have mini glue dots, mini dimensionals, but if you have regular dimensionals, you can use those. I like the mini ones because they're not quite as thick. So when I want a little bit of dimension but not as much, I use the mini glue dots, even though I have to use more this way. Okay, so I have all the mini dimensionals and I have removed the backings, but I probably should put this on the inside on the card front first, and so we'll do that. And it looks like it's a little bit closer to the top than the bottom. It's not perfectly centered, and I'm going to make sure that the white, Whisper White, is level. Okay, now we need to do the inside. So the last thing we have to do is to put the pearls in, the tiny little pearls. These are from the Basic Jewels pearls, Basic Jewels. I think this is the smallest ones. And they're going on the little circles. Okay, our cards are finished. I hope you enjoyed making this card with me. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current classes I have available. This class is available through August 19th, 2018. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.